Hi instructors, the purpose of this video is to show you how we can use Microsoft Forms to create quizzes or assignments, and you can also use a self-scoring feature that's built in. So to access Microsoft Forms, you log in to your Microsoft account the way that you would normally log in to your email or to Teams if you're using the web version. And you click up here on the waffle in the top left corner. Looks like a waffle, right? This is your home base. This can get you to all of your Microsoft tools. And in the waffle, you will go to Forms. If you don't see Forms for some reason, you can always go down here to All Apps, and then you can find Forms in that way. I'm already in Forms, and what we want to make is a new quiz. There are sometimes the options to create a new form. For instance, if you were doing a survey or something that was not graded, that might be appropriate, but for our purposes as teachers, usually we're making a new quiz. And the very first part is the title of your quiz. So I could call this Math Assessment Number 1 or Comprehension Check or whatever it is you're giving your students. And then I will add a new question. So this button is for adding a new question or new problem. We have different choices here. You can do multiple choice, like a classic multiple choice test. Text will give you an open-ended question. Okay. If your students are logged in to their Microsoft account, it will often collect their emails automatically, but I like to add their name first, just to make it easy for me. Name, first and last, and you can put that in there. There are no points associated with this question. Okay. It's also great to make it required so that students cannot skip that question. If you leave that unchecked, then students can skip questions. So it is up to you as a teacher if you want to require questions or not. I typically, in the past when I've used this, I like to require my students to answer everything just to at least practice guessing even if they're not sure. Then I could ask my first question. This is going to be a very easy math assessment. So if I was doing, we're doing multiple choice here. What if I did 5 plus 2? Okay. What if they say it's 3? They accidentally subtract. They could say it's 5. I can add another multiple choice option of 7, and I'll add 9 just as a distractor in there. Notice that by each problem we have these checks. And as a teacher, you can choose the right answer. Your students won't see this, but this will help you when you go in to grade it. So you can check 7 to show that that is the correct answer. And when you're looking at your students' work, you'll be able to see what, you'll be able to see more easily how many people got the answer correct. Now down here, you can put points. It is really up to you if you want to or not. If you say that this is a problem worth, let me go back in here. If you say this is a problem worth 1 point, I want to show you what your students will see. So this is what you see as the teacher. Your students will only see this preview, what you will see if you click on the preview button. This is what it looks like for your students. So notice if you do choose to put point values, your students will see those. I typically taught elementary school, and I did not always want my students to be worried about points. So I want you to notice if I go back and I say that this is worth 0 points, it doesn't actually mean that it's worth 0 points to me as a teacher, but if I preview what it looks like for my students, now notice it doesn't have any point value. So depending on your students' anxieties, if you know that they're anxious when they start thinking about grades, it's up to you if you want to decide ahead of time to put your point values in or not. Notice that from the student point of view, also, we do not see which one is correct. So even if the students click on the correct answer or the incorrect answer, they don't know what is correct or not. If I go back, I want to add another question. Again, I can choose multiple choice or text. I'll do multiple choice. I'm going to make it a little bit more challenging and say which of these expressions is equal to 5. Actually, I'm going to say something different. So choose all instead of just saying which. Choose any expression or expressions that equal 5. So there might be more than one that is correct here. So 5 plus 0, let's say 5 times 1. I want to add some more. 5 minus 1 is not equal to 5. And down here, since I have more than one expression that is equal to 5, I would check multiple answers because I want my students to be able to select multiple answers. And I also have 2 that are correct, so I want to indicate that those are both correct. And when I look at my preview, when I look down here at problem number 3, notice that now we have boxes instead of circles, and the students could check all of the boxes or one of the box or 2 of the boxes, whereas up here, since there is only one correct answer, they cannot choose 2 at the same time. So that's another interesting feature we have when we are making quizzes. And again, I got to that point by turning on my multiple answers button. If I turn that off, there's only one right answer. If I turn it on, I can have 2 possible answers. Now, let's say, now if you thought that was more challenging, you wanted to make it worth more points, you could. Remember, you don't have to put point values. If you choose to put point values, your students will see those. So consider your audience and your students' needs. Okay, now let's say I have a word problem in here. I'm not actually going to type it. Some kind of word problem where I'm asking the students to please write your answer in a complete sentence. Now, the students, let's go to preview. So remember, preview shows you what the students see. The students will see this, and they can type anything into the box. You, as a teacher, now have a choice to make. You can put a correct answer in here. I will tell you that as a math teacher, this is very difficult to do anytime there might be more than one way to write the correct answer. So if it's a very open-ended question, but there's only one answer and the answer is just the number 5, you could say, okay, the correct answer is 5. But notice here I'm asking them to write in a complete sentence. So they could say, Tim has 5 apples. There are 5 apples left. The answer is 5 apples. That might not be a correct sentence, but all of those different sentences have 5 as the right answer. But if I create a possible answer that is not exactly what the students write, it will be graded incorrectly. So when I'm designing a quiz, I will often choose not to put a correct answer with an open-ended question. If it is a multiple choice question, then yes, marking the correct answers will actually allow the computer to score the quiz for you for any question where you indicated what the correct answer is. But if you are asking open-ended questions where they're going to type a response, and I would say for anything, vocabulary questions, comprehension questions, math, anything where they type a response where there's lots of different ways they could type it, it's very difficult to put a correct answer in, okay? So when I'm done, okay, I don't need to hit save, it saves automatically. If you notice up here at the top, it says save. And notice that these are my questions. I also have a responses tab. If I click on responses, there are 0 responses right now. Once you give this to your students, you will have answers that you can look at, and you'll be able to open it in Excel and see everyone's work all together. But for the purpose of designing the assessment, we'll call this complete for the moment. Oh, there's one more kind of question, the rating kind of question. If you wanted to give that to your students, say, on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being very easy, and 1 being very easy and 5 being very difficult, how challenging was this assessment for you? And the students could rate themselves. There's also numbers you can do. So you don't have to ask rating questions, but if you choose to, that's what it looks like. I always preview one more time to see how it looks for my students. Okay. And then when I'm ready, I can go ahead and go to, I'm ready to start collecting responses. If you choose that only people in your organization can respond, then the students must log in with their email address. I like to do that because then you know exactly who is filling the form out, and they can't say that there's someone else. Like they can't type another student's name in. I've never had a kid do that. But if you're sending anything to parents, or if you have a student who does not know how to access their Microsoft account, you can say that anyone can respond. So that would allow anyone with a link would be able to fill it out. But if it says only people in my organization, that will limit it to the people who are logged in with their connections address. And you can copy, it's a web address. You could copy that and paste it into your Microsoft Teams, or you could give your students that website. It is a little bit long, so you can choose to shorten the URL, and it makes it slightly shorter. For instance, if you were going to write that up on a whiteboard at school when you're in your class, that is an option that you could do. It takes them to the same website. And just to show you how that works,